dividing decimals. So we want no decimals in the divisor, which is also considered the front number. And then if there is a decimal in the divisor, we're going to go ahead and move that decimal in both the divisor and the dividend. Now, our divisor, right, if we were to have this problem, right, our divisor is considered this number, the front number. And then our dividend is that 6. Now, say we needed to go ahead and, right, so we had a decimal right here. And say this number was a different number, so we needed to keep going, say like on the problem, right, for dividing. And if we run out of right digits to bring down, we can just go ahead and add zeros, and that would work. It doesn't change the problem at all, or the answer, right? And then at the end, after dividing, we're going to move the decimal straight up. Example 1, a business owner wanted to get an average price point per item sold in the past week. So the total sales was $3,777.25, and 145 items were sold. So what would be the average price per item? So this will be, right, this first number is our dividend, and this will be our divisor, right, because we're going to go ahead and divide this number, this ledger, 3,777.25 by 145. Now 145, well, it can't go into 3, right? So another way to indicate this would be just to do a 0 above, because it shows that it can't go into 3. Now it also can't go into 37, so that would be another 0, right? Because 145, right, just can't go into 37. But it can go into 377, and likely 2 times. So 145 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 2 times 1 is 2. So we have 290, so let's go ahead and subtract. I'm going to put a 2 above, because 145 times 2 is 290. 7 minus 0 is 7. 7 minus 9 can't be done, so let's go ahead and borrow. 17 minus 9, well, that's 8. And so 2 minus 2 is just 0. Now the next step would be to bring down a 7. So 145 can go into 877 how many times? Well, let's go ahead and do it by 145 times 6. Because 290, right, like it's like 300, and then 900 is really close. So if you did 145 times 6, it should get us maybe somewhere to close to 900. So let's see. 5 times 6, well, that's 30. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 is 27. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And then we have 870. So 145 can go into 877 6 times with a 6 above that third 7, right? So we go ahead and subtract. 7 minus 0, well, that's 7. 7 minus 7 is 0. 8 minus 8 is 0. And now we can go ahead and bring down another number, and this one's going to be 2. Now 145 can't go into 72, right? It's much smaller. So what we would do is add a 0 above that 2. Because 145 times 0, or any number times 0, is just equal to 0, right? Any number times 0 is 0. Very important to remember that. Now we can go ahead and subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2, 7, right? It's just brought down. So now we go ahead and bring down this 5. Now, 725. So let's go 145 times 5, because it's less than 870. So now 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 4 is 20. Plus 2 is 22. So put the 2 below, carry the other 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Well, there we go. We have that. And we can put the 725, because 5 times 145 is 725. And now we get 0. And now we go ahead and bring that decimal straight up right there. And so what would be the price point, right, the average price per item? Well, it would be $26.05. Because these zeros right here are just leading zeros, as we can call them, and they don't matter, and we don't even have to bring them into our answer. Now, let's go ahead and do the next example. So example 2, we're going to solve for the following. We have 50, right, 0.7744 divided by 3.2. Now, notice we have a decimal in our divisor. So what we're going to do is bring it over 1. So it's over to the right of the 2. And whatever we do to the divisor, we do to the dividend. So we're going to go ahead and do the same. And so now we have 507 instead of 50, right? So if it makes it easier, we'll just kind of, it's easier to do it like that. So now we can go ahead and begin to divide. So now 32 can't go into 5, but it can go into 50 one time. So we're going to go ahead and put that 1 above the 0. We could add a 0 here if you like the last example. So now 32 times this 1 is 32. We subtract. We need to borrow. So we have 8 and 1. So now we go ahead and bring down a 7. So now 32 can go into 187. Just make this a little bit nicer. So 32, let's go ahead and go times 5. Now, 30 times 5, right, is close to 150. So we might have to go up a little bit, but we'll just start here. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 5 times 3 is 15. Plus 1 would be 16. So let's go ahead and do 32 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Well, 187 is between both of them, but 32 can only go into it 5 times, right? Because 192 is too large. So we would go ahead and put the 5 above and put 160 below. Now 7 minus 0 is 7. 8 minus 6 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. And now we can go ahead and bring down that second 7. So now 32, let's go times 8. 2 times 8 is 16, carry the 1. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25. And so we can see that if we added just say 30, not even 32, we would get to 280. So we know that it can only go into it 8 times. So we put the 8 on the second 7. 32 times 8 is 256. We subtract 7 minus 6 is 1. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. Now we're going to go ahead and bring down that 4. Now we have 214. And this number, because we know that if we added 32 again to that number, it would be, right, it would be much larger than the 214. So we're going to go ahead and put this 6 times. So that would be 192. We go ahead and subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. 1 minus 9 can't be done. We borrow. Now 11 minus 9 is 2. So 22. And now we go ahead and bring down that last 4. Now let's go 32 times 7. 2 times 7 is 14, carry the 1. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22. So we have 224. We subtract, we get 0. And right, and this is supposed to be 7 here, so it goes 32 times 7 is equal to this number right here, right? 224. That's how that comes in. And so we're done because we got to a 0 there, right, when we subtracted. So when we finally get to a 0 like that and we don't have any other numbers right up here, we don't have to continue on. And now we go ahead and bring that decimal straight up, which would be between that 5 and 8. And so our answer, right, we can write it right here, and that would be our solution.